Maryland softball is over halfway through its first regular season under new head coach Lauren Karn, and the Terps currently sit at 15-15 on the season. After a disappointing first couple of weeks, Maryland is now red hot through the month of March, but their next opponent could squash all of that momentum. We'll break down how the Terps find themselves here and much more coming up on this edition of the Left Bench in Focus.
So as long as we keep battling and we have outs to play with, we're in it.
I just wanted to win so bad, and I'm so happy that I could do it for my teammates.
Welcome back to the Left Bench in Focus, brought to you by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Drew Owens alongside Ryan Martin, and Ryan, all season long, Maryland softball has been completing multiple comebacks against different teams, and they've all resulted in wins.
Yeah, Drew, especially with the Terps starting conference play, winning is now more important than ever, and they did just that against Minnesota. Maryland softball hosted Minnesota this past weekend, playing a doubleheader on Friday before adding a third game on Sunday. The Terps walked off the Gophers 7-6 in Game 1, but couldn't contain Minnesota's bats in a 15-6 loss later that day. So with the series tied at 1 apiece, we'll take you to Game 3. At first, it's looking like Minnesota is going to escape with the series win, but here come the comeback Terps. The Gophers build up a 4-run lead thanks to another home run from Addison Leshper. But playing from behind, the Terps come alive halfway through, putting up a 7 spot in the bottom of the 4th. Surging to a 12-6 series-clinching victory. Courtney Wyche perseveres in the circle, notching the 42nd complete game of her career while striking out a season-high 12 batters in the process.
And with that win, the Terps look to keep their conference play winning streak alive when they travel to State College to take on number 25 Penn State Friday. The Nittany Lions are first place in the Big Ten, and they are on a 9-game win streak. Penn State is near the top of the leaderboard for batting and has the second best slugging percentage with a 4.503. In the last meeting, both teams struggled offensively to put up any runs. Game 1 went into extra innings, and the Nittany Lions took that one. Game 2 and 3 were split, leading to the series win for Penn State. Game 1 of the 3-game series is on Big Ten Plus starting Friday at 5 p.m.
It's a daunting task for Maryland to take on Penn State. But with Karn leading the team now, anything is possible. So why don't we take a look at what the first-year head coach has done so far through the Terps' first 30 games of the season. Karn comes to Maryland after spending 6 seasons as head coach of Oakland College. Yes, that's the same Oakland College that upset number 3-seeded Kentucky last week in the men's basketball tournament. And now it's Karn making some March Madness of her own in College Park. After a 5-11 February, Karn and the Terps have won 10 of their 13 games this month. The streak includes an impressive 4-0 win at then number 25 Oregon, Maryland's lone ranked win so far this season. Before the recent success, Karn spoke at this preseason's Maryland Spring Sports Media Day.
It's going to be challenging, and we have some really challenging Big Ten opponents on our schedule. I'm hoping that we come out on top. We're looking to win every series that we play, but through that, we're going to take some knocks, and we just really need to stay focused on our resiliency when we take those and how we bounce back from that.
And to do a further dive within their season and preview of what's to come this weekend, we brought on Coach Lauren Karn, first baseman Sydney Lewis, and pitcher Courtney Wyche.
Guys, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Coach, we'll start with you first. After the usual lengthy road schedule to start the season, the team has begun home play, winning 9 of your first 12. That's tied for the most wins at home out of any team in the Big Ten so far this year. What's been working so well for you guys since coming back to College Park?
I think sleeping in our own beds and being in our normal routines really helps us. But I also think just playing in front of our fans gives us like a little extra boost when we're in the game. And I also think like we've been working on staying positive, staying together, supporting one another. And I feel like our work is now starting to come into play, and it's just kind of turning into who we are. But it took us a little bit of time to kind of figure that out.
Courtney, you have cemented a name for yourself since you've been here. As many people know, this is your final season at Maryland, and in your final year, do you have any goals or accomplishments that you want to check off before leaving?
Yeah, it's definitely been a long 5 years, but I've had a lot of fun and grown a lot over the time. My biggest goal this year is for the team to ultimately win the Big Ten conference, make it far in the tournament, and for us to make a regional. Personally, one of my goals is to accomplish receiving Big Ten Pitcher of the Year. But ultimately, as long as the team is moving forward and we are accomplishing the goals that we need to accomplish, that definitely will help me. That'll make me happy, and then leaving my legacy ultimately after these 5 years.
Yeah, excited to watch along those goals and going from success in the circle to consistency at the plate. Sydney, looking at your hitting stats this year compared to 2023, in nearly 20 less at-bats, you already have more runs, RBIs, extra base hits, and an average north of 300. What's changed for you in the box to be having such a drastic jump from last season?
Yeah, I would just say the impact of the people around me. I would just say that the girls that I'm surrounding with have put me in such a better space mentally, and how I prepare myself, how the coaches have helped me prepare myself. It's just such a drastic change from last year. Just making sure that I'm being taken care of mentally has been such a priority to them, and I couldn't appreciate that more. And I truly think that's one of the biggest reasons of my success is just how happy I am being here.
Now, this one's for all of you guys. This weekend, you guys are going against the best team in the Big Ten, Penn State. What is going to be the strategy going into the series to come out with a series win?
For me, from the coach's point of view, I really think we're going to play 3 tight games. I think it's going to come down to who can capitalize offensively when they have runners in scoring position. And we talked about that with our team today. Executing our game plan at the plate and just being as disciplined as possible is going to be really important, because Penn State does get a lot of their pitchers get people to chase balls out of the zone. And so we haven't done that so far, and we are hoping that we continue that trend going into this weekend. And then with Courtney and others on the mound, continuing to do what we do and attack their batters, but make sure we're executing our pitches, getting them to chase when we need them to chase, but also forcing ground balls, forcing some weak fly balls, that kind of thing. And then not allowing back-to-backs. I think that was our biggest thing last weekend, is when somebody got on base, we didn't execute as often as we'd like on the mound to get that next batter out. So if we can do a better job against Penn State, then we're going to be in a really good position.
Something from the team. Oh, sorry.
No, keep going. Yeah, let's hear it.
Something from the team standpoint is just us. We talked about playing together as a team and making sure that we're relying on one another when our name is called to handle our business and to execute our role to our fullest. Like Coach just said, one of my main goals is to ultimately keep people off of bases, but if they are on the base, then making sure we're securing that next out, giving our defense a chance to make plays, and then allowing our offense to do what they do. Because right now, everybody is swinging the bats. They're hot. I love when our offense is on fire, so that makes me want to play better. And so ultimately us just handling our business and playing the Maryland softball that we're used to.
Yeah, definitely. I was also just going to say, like, continuing off of last weekend, just making sure that we as a team are executing our plans that Coach Jay's giving to us, making sure that we're still instilling that trust that we have in her, that if we execute our plans, like, we're going to be successful, which I think we did a really great job of this weekend. And just having the confidence that knowing we're better than who we're facing against, like going in with that mindset that we know we can beat whatever pitcher throws against us offensively.
Looking forward to seeing that mindset. Well, that's all we have for you 3 today. Courtney, Sydney, and Coach, thank you all so much for joining us. We're wishing you the best of luck and Happy Valley this weekend and over the rest of the season.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now stay with us, because when we come back, TSC's Ben Wolf joins us in Studio B to tell us how Maryland can succeed in conference play this season.
We'll also see how a Maryland softball player shines on not one, but 2 fields, name our midseason Rookie of the Year and MVP, along with our top 5 plays. Don't go anywhere.
tell my son, I love you every single day. Now, my dad has never said that to me. Not because he doesn't love me, but because culturally it wasn't comfortable for him. Now that he's a grandfather, he says, I love you to my son every time he sees him. My advice to all the fathers out there, forget the cultural restrictions. They grow up way too fast for you to waste even a single precious moment.
I think I finally found.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Mason.
Hey, Mason.
Got a new house. It's looking pretty cool so far.
A place that I call home.
I'm teaching Louise how to cook some lasagna.
It only takes a spark to make a fire start.
Thank you.
Study, please.
I think I finally found a place to make my own. A place that I call home. This place that I call home.
Welcome back to the Left Bench in Focus, brought to you by Terrapin Sports Central. I'm Drew Owens, that's Ryan Martin, and Ryan, this past weekend, Maryland started conference play off with a bang.
That's right, Drew. The Terps could have more wins to look forward to, but winning in the Big Ten is never an easy task.
Before Maryland softball breaks into conference play, TSC's Ben Wolf joins us to take a closer look at how Maryland softball fared in conference play last year and its expectations for this year. Ben?
Yeah, guys, we got a small taste of what's ahead in conference play for Maryland last weekend, and the Terps have an opportunity to turn some heads this season. But let's start with last season. In Mark Montgomery's final season as head coach, Maryland softball posted its best season in over a decade. The team ended the 2023 season with an overall record of 38-19 and just missed out on the NCAA tournament. In conference play, the Terps ended in the middle of the pack with an 11-11 record, winning 3 out of 8 series played. Despite ending the regular season with the sweep over Illinois, the Terps laid an egg in the Big Ten tournament, falling to Iowa in the first round. On the flip side, Maryland made it to the semifinals of the National Invitational Softball Championship, but would again lose to Iowa, ending Maryland's season. But now, with new head coach Lauren Karn at the helm, she looks to only get better from the season before. Karn and company have a tall task of breaking through into the NCAA tournament for the first time since Maryland joined the Big Ten. The Terps jumped out to a strong start in Big Ten play this past weekend, winning their opening series against Minnesota 2-1. Out of the 8 series this season, the Terps will face 5 familiar faces from last year. Diamond Williams and Maisie McFarland have been studs for Maryland and will be relied on heavily moving forward. They are batting over .350 and have combined for 14 home runs and 30% of the team's RBIs this season. If the Terps can continue producing at the clip they are right now, they can rise atop of the Big Ten standings. But that will be a challenging task. While Maryland currently sits above 500 going into its second Big Ten series, Penn State, Northwestern, Ohio State, and Rutgers stand above them. This weekend, the Terps will head to State College to take on a fiery hot Penn State team that has won 9 straight games. Northwestern sits right below Penn State, also having won 9 straight, and have 2 ranked wins this season over Boston College and South Carolina. The Wildcats have protected their home field at all costs, posting a 6-0 record in Evanstown. So far this season, the Terps have proven they can compete with the best of the best, playing 2 close games against top 25 teams, including a win over number 22 Oregon. But Big Ten play is a whole other ballgame, and Maryland will have to beat the best to rise up the ranks. And guys, if the Terps want to see themselves over that 500 mark in the Big Ten this season, maybe even make the big dance, the newcomers and returners will have to continue to step up and build that winning culture from last season. The big question is, how can Karn maintain the momentum? Back to you guys.
Thanks, Ben. Yeah, Ryan, he talked about it. They had one of their best seasons last year, having a pretty decent season this year. I'm excited to see what Maryland softball can do during conference play.
Yeah, a lot of turnaround. And it starts at the top, as you mentioned, with Lauren Karn, but 9 wins in your first 12 home games, that's not an easy thing to do. Big test does come against the Nittany Lions, though, this weekend.
Yeah.
Speaking of change, in a changing college athletics landscape, the transfer portal is crucial. especially if there's a change in the staff. When Mark Montgomery stepped down, the Terps lost 3 everyday starters in Kylie Goff, Amelia Leck, and the two-way star Trinity Schlotterbeck. But let's head over to the monitor to see how the Terps have replenished their roster in the portal. As Ben mentioned, spearheading Maryland's offense this year has been Maisie McFarland and Diamond Williams. The two bring some of the best play for Maryland, but also strong leadership in the locker room. Let's start with McFarland, a right fielder who's transitioned seamlessly from Utah State. McFarland has been a fixture at 5th in Karn's lineup, hitting 4 homers already this season. And if there's a runner on when McFarland steps up, chances are it's Diamond Williams on the base path. The Coastal Carolina transfer leads Maryland with 36 hits, 29 RBIs, 72 total bases, and 10 home runs, while no other Terp has more than McFarland's 4 homers.
One player who will be a huge part of Maryland's success in the Big Ten is Sammy Woods. She has made some jaw-dropping plays recently, including her walk-off against Minnesota, but she also dominates on a completely different field. TSC's Andrew McBride has more.
The shortstop, number 26, Sammy Woods.
Sammy Woods appeared in every Maryland softball game as a freshman and is a no-doubt star for the Terps.
But Woods' talents are not limited to softball. Her cannon of an arm and unmatched field vision also helps her out on the football field.
It actually all started when my mom introduced me to this competition called Punt, Pass, and Kick when I was 9. I just ended up kind of winning every one and eventually winning nationals, and I was like, whoa, this is fun.
Then, the all-girls football team for her softball squad was created. But when you put girls in a football field who've never played before, there's a lot of work to be done.
These were all softball players that were really good, really athletic for 9 years old. You put them on a football field and you realize they don't know the first thing about the rules of the game.
But it didn't take long for Woods and her team to start shining. They beat an all-boys team in just their 4th game of the season. Fast forward to her senior year, Woods was invited to the Elite 11 quarterback camp in Vegas, filled with the best quarterbacks in the nation.
I was like, oh, this is kind of cool how they're, letting girls come in, which should have been done earlier, but it's awesome that I get to participate in it anyways.
Being a star athlete in 2 sports has its perks, but also negatives.
Like this weekend, we're going to Oregon to play top 25 schools, and this weekend's actually the USA trials for flag football, which I have to miss, which, that's the worst part about it.
Woods' father said if she was born later, it could have been only football.
And my only regret is that, I wish it would have happened 4 years earlier for her. Because if it did, I honestly don't know if she'd be playing softball. I think she would have made the change because she loves the sport that much.
Woods loves the sport so much that her dream is to play it in the Olympics.
It's official that flag football for both women and men are going to be in the 2028 Olympics. So obviously I'm missing the trials this weekend, but after softball is done, I'll be able to make the trials and hopefully get on the team and play in the Olympics.
Regardless of which sport she chooses to stick with, Woods will shine. For Terrapin Sports Central, I'm Andrew McBride.
Thanks, Andrew. And yeah, Drew, it sounds like you can see what kind of athlete Sammy Woods is. Softball, flag football, maybe we'll see some quarterback throws coming up later in this episode as well.
I mean, we've seen already some big throws from her this season, so excited to look forward to more.
Yeah. We're over halfway through the 2024 season, and there's certainly a lot of first-year players making an impact. But there can only be one contributor named as our 2024 midseason Rookie of the Year, and that's freshman catcher Delaney Reef. After a change behind the plate for Maryland from last season, Reef has stepped in and started all but 2 games this year for the Terps. The Frederick native and reigning Maryland Gatorade Softball Player of the Year started with a bang, posting 3 hits against San Diego in her very first collegiate appearance. So far this year, Reef has 16 hits, 14 RBIs, and ranks 3rd on Maryland with a trio of home runs. Congrats to Delaney on being named our softball midseason Rookie of the Year.
And now it's time to crown our midseason MVP. And we have to go with the player who has put herself on the map since taking the mound in College Park. Our midseason MVP is Courtney Wyche. In her final year at Maryland, Wyche has been lights out. She's pitched 9 whole games so far this year. In her last outing against Minnesota, she struck out a season-high 12 batters. Earlier this year, Wyche was named Big Ten Pitcher of the Week after her performance against Boston College, where she tallied 11 strikeouts and only allowed 7 hits. Wyche reached her 500th career strikeout this season, becoming the 5th player in school history to reach this milestone. Congrats to Courtney on being named our midseason MVP. Okay, Ryan, we've seen a lot of great moments from Maryland softball this year, and I think we nailed down our top 5, so you do the honors and get us started.
All right, well, let's start off with number 5, where Diamond Williams hits this no-doubt home run to take the lead in the 5th inning against James Madison. Williams' 3rd most home runs in the Big Ten this year for a reason, and Drew, I think this one is still airborne. Where did that one go? Into the night sky.
And we have number 4, Maggie McCamey breaks the Maryland stolen bases record with her 67th stolen base in that game. She currently has 71 career stolen bases, many more to come, Ryan, in her future.
At number 3, we just talked about her. Delaney Reef ends things in extra innings with this walk-off double against Boston College. Reef will take a look at this again, sends the fans home happy. Drew, it's the bottom of the 9th inning. She's got homework to get to, and she sends Maryland off with the win.
And number 2, we have Sammy Woods hits a walk-off double to help beat Minnesota in the Big Ten opener. We all have seen how Sammy Woods has performed this season so far. She put herself out there for the team to get the win this weekend in the Big Ten.
Yeah, with Sammy Woods, let's go from offense to defense. You might have already seen it on SportsCenter's top 10 plays. Sammy Woods at shortstop. She'll dive to her right, throw to her left from the ground. What can't Sammy Woods do? There's batting, there's defense like that flag football. I think Sammy Woods could probably do just a little bit of everything, and she earns our number 1 play.
Wow.
Well, that'll do it for this edition of this Left Bench in Focus. Check back in with us next Thursday, where Ben Wolf and Andrew McBride will break things down for Maryland baseball.
Be sure to keep up with us on all of Terrapin Sports Central coverage on X, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and online at terrapinsportscentral.com.
We'll see you next time.